Good afternoon. Thank you guys for having us. My name is Barry Macon. I'm the Diversity Strategy Director for AARP. Just a little bit about AARP. AARP's mission is to empower people to choose how they live as they age. We are dedicated to enhancing the quality of life for older adults through advocacy, education, and community support. Just one quick note before we do this panel. David Mann is here, someone that we worked with before. Him and his wife have been a great ambassador for us. I want to thank him for making himself available. This mental health challenge is real, and just a personal note on that, I had a daughter when she was in high school. She suffered with some mental issues, and me and my ex-wife at the time had to find the help she needed to get on the right track. And I was happy to say right now, she is a senior, graduated in May from Yale University. So it's very important as black men to get the help we need, because mental health is real. If you had a problem with your kidneys, you will go to a doctor. But sometimes the stigma with mental health, we don't seek help with. Well, I'm good. So we're so happy to be a part of this session, and I look forward to the rich conversation you're going to moderate here. And thank you guys for participating.
All right, so we're going to get started. I'm going to be introducing our panelists, and we're going to get into an interesting conversation. So our first panelist is a celebrated actor and comedian, is renowned for his role in Tyler Perry Productions. He's also a passionate mental health advocate, leading initiatives like Man to Man, Love Your Mind, to promote mental wellness in the community. Please join me for a round of applause for David Mann. All right. Good. All right. Now, our next panelist is a mental health expert, former pro athlete, leads the Just Heal Bro tour, empowering men of color to address mental wellness. He combines athletic discipline with holistic healing, inspiring change on a national level. Please join me in giving a round of applause for Dr. J. Barnett.
Jay looked like he just came from the gym. Like just now.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Our next panelist, here out of Miami, Florida, is a licensed therapist and CEO of Rocker Community Health. He's recognized for his holistic therapy methods, outreach initiatives like hip-hop therapy, which encourages mental wellness in urban youth. Please join me for a round of applause for Dr. Jeff Rocker. All right, so before we get started, we're going to play a quick video, and then we'll get into the conversation. Everybody can hear me all right? Yes, sir. All right. So I'd like to start just by having each of you add a little bit to your introductions, but also tell us why this work is important to you. So David, we can start with you.
Once again, I'm David Mann. The work is important to me because I was one of those who come from that old school that therapy is not for me, and I'm good and I'm okay, and I can handle this by myself. But I found out that I needed help. And so that's why I think it's so important for me to share the platform that God has blessed me with in forums like this.
Good evening, brothers. How y'all doing? Good. This room should be packed right now.
Right.
Because I think if every brother is honest with himself, he can attest that mental health has a great deal and a great impact just in who we are every day. The reason why this is important to me, I've shared my story as I have traversed this country with my Just Heal Bro tour from a book that I wrote, Just Heal Bro, 34 cities, averaging 400 to 600 black men that are in this space, being open, understanding what vulnerability is because of my story, I was a free agent in 2006 in the NFL, got released, got sent to the Arena Leagues, and found myself in a dark place. And football for me was how I cope. And when I no longer had football to cope, I attempted suicide. The first time, I slit my wrist. The second time was a drug overdose. And so by God's grace, I'm here as a lived experience, and then was encouraged to go and become a therapist, and then was encouraged to go earn a doctorate in healthcare, because the system was not geared toward helping black men become better, only pushing black men to stay who they are. And so this topic in its opulence is so important to me, because I know what it's like to see a man smile and go home and take his life. And have everything that you would say that he is successful. And so that's why this conversation is important to me, and the work that I do in this space is because I want brothers to begin living well and living longer and experiencing joy and bliss.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, my brothers. All right. Like Jay said, there should be a lot more brothers for a black men conference, right?
Yeah.
I agree, but don't worry about it. For those of you here, you're going to get the message today. So we have a lot to talk about. So like they mentioned, my name is Dr. Jeff Rocker, also known as a celebrity therapist, mainly for the work that I do across the country, working with celebrities, entertainers, and of course professionals like yourself that's in the building. Now, one of the reasons why I work with that type of population is because I realized it was like reverse engineering saving the world by saving the people that the world looks up to. Because I realized if I can save one person who has a larger reach, I can save millions. And that's why I decided to work with that population. In addition to that, I also do something where I'm also a CEO of a company called Rocket Management, where I do performance coaching. For those who have a big game coming up, or a big event, or even someone who's trying to pitch a grant funding to a business owner, I do a lot of that, preparing people for the next level of their life. But why I do this? Because people like you guys. Because I realized when I was growing up, we didn't exist. You know, when you say black professionals, black mental health care providers, that was never the case. I saw someone like a Dr. Phil, but I knew that growing up, going through the stuff I went through, the hood I lived in, if I saw a Dr. Phil across from me, I would never relate to him. I could never connect with him. I would never go to him for services. So the fact that you got brothers like here who are in the healthcare system, brothers who are in the entertainment who are talking about mental health, that goes a long way for me, and that's why I think that having this conversation more times than not can save a lot of lives. So, and that's why I do this.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. So we're going to start the conversation with some facts and statistics, all right? Okay. So according to the American Psych Association, black men are almost twice as likely to experience feelings of sadness or hopelessness compared to other demographics. Yet, they're significantly less likely to seek help. I'm going to start with you, Dr. Jeff.
Okay.
Can you share any insight or personal stories about the barriers black men face in accessing mental health care?
I mean, there's a lot of barriers why we as black men don't seek services, especially it's deeply rooted into societal, cultural, systemic issues. But one of the things that comes to mind just the other day, one thing about therapists is that we're very great listeners, even when we don't want to be great listeners. So I was at the airport. I'm telling you, I was at the airport the other day. I had someone 3 rows down, and he was talking about all types of stuff. Man, I hate you. I'm guessing he's talking about his partner, his girl, side chick, I don't know. But he's talking about somebody. But I didn't want to listen to it, but he was talking so loud, so I heard the man. So he's talking about, man, I hate you. I can't stand this shit. Well, can I curse here? Okay, it's too late. I can't stand this. Boom, he dropped his phone on the ground. I said, hey, bro, you good? He said, nah, I hate this chick. I was like, bro, listen, it's going to be all right. Keep your head up, man. I know, but I hate this chick for whatever reason, he said. I said, you know what, listen, you ever thought about getting mental health? He said, what? I ain't no punk. I said, what you mean you're a punk? Listen, that's for soft-ass guys, you know?
Keep it real, Jeff.
Say what you mean and mean what you say. Can we just say what we mean and mean what we say?
Yeah.
Okay. You good. The space is free.
Praise God.
Now don't do that.
Hey, Jeff, this is a judgment-free zone, man.
Say less.
You want to clear that? This is a judgment-free zone, right? Yeah. Can we be free? Yeah. Open space? Yeah. Let's do this.
All right. Thank you, I appreciate that. So when he said I'm not a punk, I said, why would you say that? Because all I seen was soft-ass niggas getting the help that they need, and That's not me. My parents told me to stay strong, man up, put my head down, work through it. And I was like, that's cool, but however, there's times where you can't put your head down. There's times where you need help. And there's times where you got to say those exact words, I need help. And for him, he was never taught that because for him, culture-wise, he was never allowed to. Now for me, same concept. I'm Haitian. Born and raised in Miami-Dade, all day for every day, you feel me? So that's all I know. And one thing about Haitian culture, like many cultures, we don't believe in mental health. We don't believe in therapy. We don't believe to ask another brother or a person, I need help. Because if you do that, you appear weak, you appear soft, you appear not a man. And you know, as men, we've always been identified as being strong, as that's a manly thing to do. But I would say being vulnerable is the manly thing to do. Saying I need help is the manly thing to do. And the more times we could do that, I think the more times we can save ourselves and save our culture. Because if we don't do it, listen, you see it's hard being a black man out here. It is not easy. I don't care how you cut and slice. I don't care how much money you make. I don't care what status you are. It is not easy being a black man. And the more that we can ask for help as brothers in this room, support each other, the more we could achieve a lot more and achieve success.
Yes, yes. And something you said reminded me of a conversation that we were having, David, last time we spoke, and about, stigma, right? So through Man to Man, you've seen how stigma affects mental wellness and the conversations, and you speak about it. What are some of the ways you've been encouraging men to challenge the idea that vulnerability is a weakness?
Even the stigma of when we talk about mental health, the fact that we said, we're going to have a forum about mental health. Like you guys said, the room should be full.
Yeah.
But the fact that we put mental health, that scared some guys. Now, if we say we're going to have a twerk off in here, the room is full. If we say we're having something where we're talking about football, the room is full. And it's because that scares people. Yeah. And it's because of the stigma that's been passed down from generation to generation. What happens in this house
stays in this house.
That's crap. Because we've been led to believe that we good. If you ask one of your partners, how you doing? And I've been asking how you doing up here. I'm good. Knowing good and well you're not good. We're not good. But the stigma tells us, you know what? I gotta be good. Because me, the way I carried it is, I'm Superman. I wore a cape. I went home. I made sure my family was good. I made sure they were protected. I made sure that it was good. But I was dying because of the stigma. Because the stigma tells us, suck it up, man up, don't be no punk, and keep it rolling. And so we have got to get to the point now that when we start talking about our mental health, that it fills the room up so we can get help. There is nothing wrong with not being okay. It's okay not to be okay. But we just kind of go along with life and say, I'm good, I'm okay, I can handle it. But you find out you can't.
Right, it's a lot of pressure that we're under.
Lot of pressure.
And Dr. J, I remember we were having a conversation about this, about the immense pressure that black men go through, right? Especially in corporate America, or even when we want to get on these high achieving roles or get these big degrees, even in the universities that we go through, right? So sometimes we have to work twice as hard just to get half as far. So for you, could you discuss how these high expectations impact mental health and what systemic changes could support black men better?
So I want to go back to what David said about wearing the cape. One of the things, brothers, this cape is choking a lot of you, if you're honest. It's choking you. And when you think about wearing the cape, you think about wearing this persona, and you think about wearing what they said you had to do, what they said that you had to be because they associated.
And who is they?
Society. And they have relegated that to your masculinity. But let me tell you something, brothers. Your masculinity, you have to understand the duality in being a lion and a lamb. Some of you are falling on swords that you shouldn't be falling on. And here's what happened. You fall on that sword and they blame you for dying.
Yep.
Because you have taken on a burden to carry everybody. And by the time you need help, it's usually too late. And what I say to brothers is, you can't manage people, but you have to manage the expectations that they place upon you. And the other part of that, brothers, is understanding what is your margin? Where is your capacity? One of the things that I give this quick story, and I share this all the time when we're on tour. My mother cannot call me before 10 a.m. And I have brothers like, you saying that to a black mom? Yes, sir. And that's a boundary for me because I love mama to the moon and back. But if I answer that phone before 10, I got to hear everything what's going on with my sister, what's going on with her husband, what's going on with the kids. And immediately it put me into performance mode because I'm trying to fix it. Wow. And some of you are trying to fix things that you didn't break, and it's breaking you.
Yeah.
When I don't answer that phone, brothers, when I play ball, you know, we used to get up in the morning, you turn on pot, whatever you trying to. At this season of my life, I got to ease into my day. I can't turn the TV on. I can't turn music on. I got to just ease and sit with myself. Because the moment you step out that door, you're hit with expectations, you're hit with what people feel, what they think about you, with the statistics, and you think about being in a place, in an environment that you are trying to achieve while sitting in the car, in the driveway, and not ready to go in the house. Hello? Because some of you are at home, but you're not at home. And some of you are in the house, and it doesn't feel like home. And how many of you brothers are married?
Wow.
And you think about the brothers that are married, and if you don't feel safe enough to take your cape off at home, brother, it's exhausting.
Yeah.
So when you have the opportunity to sit in spaces like this, man, get what you need. I love that this conference is about connecting. I love that this conference is about networking, but this is probably one of the most important sessions because if you're not well here, I don't care what your account balance says. Every month, I have to answer a crisis call to a successful brother that has taken his life. And people overlook it because he's doing well. But here's what we're doing, brothers. We are achieving, and we're not dealing with the root issues. We are achieving, but we're not healing. We are achieving, and we're avoiding because we're obsessed with success. And I'll close with this. Whenever I see brothers who are upset, nothing wrong with being successful. Go get the bag, climb the hill, become all that you ever want to be. But when I see brothers who are obsessed with obsession, there is avoidance. Because you can focus on achieving, and here's what happens. And me and Alfred, great mentor, talk about this often. The places that you are achieving, you can't sustain because you haven't built an infrastructure to support your mental health.
Yeah. I'll just piggyback a little bit off of that.
Yeah.
Even with me and my struggle it wasn't the usual suspects. You know, finances, I was making more money than I ever made in my life. My marriage, in the greatest place. It's just, I was over helping, like taking on everybody else's stuff, and pretty soon I was empty, but I was still pouring. Pouring what? I didn't have anything to pour. And so that's where I found myself in the driveway, which my driveway was my office. Some people, like I shared with you guys, some people work it away. Some people smoke it or drink it away. I was just like, I'm gonna work mine. I'm gonna just keep with the grind. And most people, like you said, you don't realize it until it's too late.
Yeah.
You don't realize that you need help. Mine could have ended very tragically. It could have been the headlines, actor Mr. Brown, gone.
Wow.
And I just don't want that for none of us. We have to create what's going to take, and even the answer to your question earlier, what it's going to take is open spaces like this for brothers like us to sit. Just create a space where we're free and we can be open. All it takes is one spark to create a fire. Yes. I want to be that spark. That's the reason that I lend this form that the Lord has blessed me with. All it takes is one. Because you know, brothers, we good until we hear, are you having it too? You too? Well, let me tell you about mine. All it takes is one. are you going to be that one?
It's opening up spaces so that people can speak freely, speak about their ideas, and
Yeah.
feel vulnerable enough to share. And we rarely have that. So like you said, this is amazing. And I applaud everybody for being in this room today, seriously.
And Doc, not making it so didactic
Yeah.
to where it feels so rigid. For us, it has to be in a space where we relax. Because if we're honest, even the suits, it's performative.
Yeah.
The moment you put the suit on, I gotta. And so I've been around so many brothers that just can't relax. When we open a tour, just getting brothers to close their eyes and just to locate themselves, they can't. They're on 10 all the time.
Performing.
Yeah.
And here's what happened, brothers. I'll give you these stats. 40% of African American males aged 20 and over already have hypertension. And 40% of black males over the age of 20 die of prematurely deaths, contrary to white males, 23%. We're not living long, and we're not aging well. We've taken on the concept to achieving, but we don't have the ability, and a lot of the heart disease that you see, and I'm gonna go here, the erectile dysfunction, if you're 35 plus, your testosterone's probably low, stress.
You got our attention now.
Yeah. and let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Now they just gave me, cause I'm act like I'm in the locker room. Niggas don't go to the doctor till this thing don't work.
Yeah.
Hello,
Yeah.
doc. Souls ain't standing up. You'll go get a pill for that and not realize it's not that it don't work. You have poor blood flow. And so what brothers would do is you'll skip getting the high blood pressure medication, which you should be taking, which works as an antagonist because it also causes impotence. So while you trying to fix one issue, you got a greater issue.
Yeah.
Rather than just being able to say, man, how can I take care of myself holistically?
Yeah. They have an issue with the wrong head.
The wrong head, exactly.
It's this one. They focus on the wrong one.
And it causes performance anxiety.
It does.
Listen, black males right now, I cannot tell you how many calls we get with dudes that are having heart attacks on gas station pills.
All the time. All the time.
Performance.
Yeah.
Performance. And I'm talking about brothers in their 20s can't get it up because you're overstimulated. We on this phone all day. You're at the computer all day. It impacts your blood flow. And lastly, for brothers that are in partnerships, marriage, whatever it is, if you cannot openly express, you're going to suffocate yourself.
Yes.
I had a guy about 2 months ago. He told me, David, he said, I would rather die and go be with Jesus than to tell my wife how I really feel.
Wow.
Hey, that's
And he was extremely, and I said, let's unpack this. Well, I don't want her to think, brothers, if you can't talk to her, your partner, who are you going to be open? And I'm not saying dump on them. But we've got to address, why are we so afraid of being open? I refuse to be in a relationship if I can't express. Why?
It's real. It's very real.
Society made us that way.
Yep. And I think this is a good segue into the next part of the conversation. And you brought up a few of these things already when we talk about aging, community, and then how health impacts all of this, right? Because it's all connected. And as we get older, sometimes we don't realize how our lifestyles start to change. You go from college hanging out with your guys every single day, right? Then you get older, you might have your partner, but you don't have kids yet, so you still can go out on the weekends. And now you got the VP job, you got the kids, right? You're really by yourself. You feel isolated, right? So aging presents a unique mental health challenge at times, right? How our lifestyles have changed. Dr. J, you emphasize the importance of friendship and fitness and staying active for mental wellness for men over 40. Could you discuss the role of community in overcoming isolation and building resilience as we age?
Community is everything. If you don't have community, brothers, what do you have?
Nothing.
How many brothers in a fraternity? You're not a Kappa, wrong fraternity. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know about that, brother.
Shout out to my
Yo,
noobs in the
I don't know
building.
about that.
to any noobs in the building.
My noobs.
Got to start a problem.
come on.
Right here, wrong.
Gotta be some alphas in the building, huh? 06, let's go.
Yeah, God bless
You're
y'all.
lost,
God
man. You're
bless.
lost.
But part of it is like when you see brothers leave NBA, NFL, what we miss is not the game, it's the camaraderie. It's community. Study shows men have a difficult time making friendships after 35, and most men don't establish friendships outside of their workplace. I have a call with a group of brothers from all walks of life, the Tavio Samuel, CEO of Revolt, Lincoln, all of these brothers. Every Monday, we are on Zoom, talking, just talking, praying. And when I tell you the liberation in it, we'll have brothers come on there, man, the wife is acting up, bro. Like, bro, she asking for this, asking that. And we just listen. And we allow them to process it. Brother, you need community. 3 things I want to give you this because I want to be tactical. Write this down. Three things that you need. And Jeff, you can answer this on how important it is. 3 C's. Number 1 is you need counsel. Somebody that you can go to that provides counseling for you. Covering. Alfred is my mentor. He's covering. Somebody you wouldn't mind being more like. Somebody that can pour into you. But as they begin pouring into you and you begin growing, it now becomes reciprocal because what they're pouring, you utilize it, and so you continue to grow. And the last one is care, which is a therapist or a coach or a place where you can be, where you can just receive. Because you can't default that to your partner. A lot of what we carry, we can't share with our wives, our significant other, because it's too heavy for them to carry. So you got to have a place where you can get care. And not all the time is care is from touch. Sometimes care is just saying, bro, let's just watch the game, man. Let's just have some bro time, man. And just, or another brother saying, man, I love you, brother, and I'm proud of you, man. That's care. Those are 3 things you need: counsel, covering, and care.
Yeah, like you said, with counseling, there's a lot of different agencies out there. I like our good friend, Taraji P. Henson. She has the Boris L. Henson Foundation that provides free therapy throughout the year. So once again, free therapy. So that's the key, because black people, we know we love free shit, right? So they provide free therapy throughout the year. And of course, I provide therapy as well. But also, for those of you who struggle with suicidal thoughts, there's actually a national hotline out there as well, too. So the thing is that you don't have to be handling these issues by yourself. One of the things that black men struggle with the most is that they struggle in silence rather than to heal in public. Mm-hmm. And that's so key because there's so many different resources out there that can support you. There's men's support group. And I mean, there's a lot of men's support group, whether it be local or even from a Zoom call, a virtual call, but there's a lot of services out there. The church. Now, listen, I'm a PK. You can't tell all the Christian I'm doing, but don't judge me. But listen, I'm a PK, and going to church, I know it's good for me, and it's very helpful for a lot of people. For those who go to church, that's good. Even just praying at the house, very helpful as well, too. But I think one of the things that Jay mentioned is that setting boundaries is key. Because there's times where your girl, she's telling me she wants all your time, but you got to tell your girl, I'm going to give you some time, but I need the rest of the time for myself. Or it could be your mom. Jay mentioned that at 10 a.m., you can't call me. Before 10 a.m., you cannot call me, no matter what. A lot of people probably would never have done that to their mom because they probably get slapped dead in the face. But that's the conversation you got to have with these people in your life. All of you love them. You got to have boundaries and maintain balance throughout your life. If you don't do either one of those things, it can lead to a lot of hardship and anxiety and a lot more issues than you think that you can solve by yourself.
And boundaries is just self-respect.
Yeah, one of the best things and one of the hardest things that you could do for people and for yourself is set boundaries. Now, when you set boundaries, and I learned this firsthand myself, you start setting boundaries with people and you'll see they'll naturally fall off.
Yeah.
Because when you start telling people, you can't do this and you can't do this, and this is what I'm going to allow, and this is how I'm going to allow. Oh, they don't like that. What do you mean I have to ask? No, I'm not doing that anymore. This is what we're doing. This is what we're not doing. You'll find that some of those people that kind of, it's in your head, they'll fall off naturally. Another resource, AARP.org/Black Men's Health. is another great place. It's aarp.org/Black Men's Health. That's another great resource.
That's amazing. And I think something you spoke on, Dr. J, is creating safe spaces. And David, we were talking about this in our last conversation as well. Safe spaces are central to your advocacy. Can you share examples of how Black men can create and join these spaces, whether online, in person, to support their mental wellness?
Like this. And when I say safe space, somewhere where you can go and speak freely and not have to just have any constraints or being judged. And it's not, it doesn't have to be a big forum like this. Like you say, just brothers on the phone just talking. You will be surprised what a call to somebody at the right time will do.
Save a life.
It literally has saved a life. Yeah. You will be surprised. And you know, we think that it has to be all brother. No, it's just like, I'm here to listen. What do you need? Because for me, people got to watch me drown and didn't even know I was drowning. I had been dealing with this for like a year and a half, and I was still on stage, still on TV, being the funny Mr. Brown that y'all wanted me to be. But I was drowning. I was the one going in my office deciding, this is it. Because I always felt like I had to perform. I said, the only way people are gonna know that I'm drowning is if I've completely drowned. And that means I'm gone. And guess what? They move on to the next flavor. Oh, people will cry, but they move on to the next flavor. You will be surprised what you, as a man, as an individual, you will be surprised what your phone call will do for somebody to say, brother, you okay? Now let's really have a talk. Are we really okay? And listen. Listen, and don't be afraid to reach out. Because that was me. I knew I had a partner that was going through some issues, but I didn't reach out because it felt weird. And at the end of the day, brothers, a lot of us, all we need is a good hug and a good cry. When the last time some of y'all in here cried? Some of us never even seen our fathers cry. So that bled down into us never having a cry.
Not allowed to.
Yes.
Did you just see the response?
Nothing.
What?
I see no
When
one
the cry.
hand. Not one.
Right.
That's a relief valve.
That's a release. I don't know why I feel compelled to share this, brothers. If you keep being the answer, people won't look anywhere for another solution. Stop being the answer to everyone and start answering the call for you.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Answer the call for you. I hope this conversation gets you to thinking for the next 2 days while you're sitting on the plane. I never forget Bishop Jake said to me, he said, you really ought to think about developing something for successful Black men because they're struggling.
Yeah.
Because you're too successful to connect to the brother who just every day, and you can't connect to your colleagues because they don't look like you.
Yes.
So you're in a silo, and you don't feel that you can be that open and be that vulnerable at home. And let me tell you something, brother. Your real strength is in your ability to be vulnerable. To say, I don't have it today.
And I don't have the answer today.
And be okay with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
My mom called me for some money one time. I said, she's married. King. I said, I got it, baby, but I got sense with it. I said, Mama, you married. Well, I didn't want to bother child. Why you want to bother me?
Take your money, huh?
And I remember in an early season in my life, because when her and my dad divorced, I became the man of the house. And let me tell you something. You will adopt that model, and you will find things and people where you always have to fix because, and I can tell you, early in my 30s and dating, I was engaged. And when my therapist says, why did you get engaged? Part of me was trying to rescue my mom and her. Wow. Because she had kids. I was trying to be to her kids what my father wasn't to me.
You know they call it in the hood, they call it Captain Save-A-Ho.
Yeah, exactly. And that's,
I'm just saying.
And let me tell you something. and that's a complex. That's a complex. I had to learn how to get out of performing And rather than just focusing on a human doing, just being a human being.
Yes.
And it allowed me to find rest. My mom figured it out. She got what she needed. And she called me. She says, King, I appreciate you for telling me how to set boundaries. Because my mom, the guys that my mom's married to, he's a good dude, but he don't talk. So what they're experiencing with me, they've never seen a black man say no. And I don't feel bad about it.
Should it?
My kids don't understand that word.
And you got to do it. And when she asked me, she said, I know you stopped answering the phone. I said, Mama, because I can't have my nervous system in a wreck before my day starts.
Right. Yes, yes, yes.
Even crisis call, I'm sorry, ma'am, sir, boy, girl, I'm sorry, I can't answer this phone after 5.
And they don't realize what that does. It affects your ability to, like for me, I couldn't create. Like I'm already trying to create God's will when we get there. I'm already trying to create what we're doing in 2026. But when my mind was so clouded with depression and all of that, I couldn't think of what I was going to do the next day. I couldn't create like a show or content or nothing because I'm just sitting up like, I'm just trying to figure out if I'm going to live today. Yeah. If I want to live today.
So it's an amazing conversation. I really don't want it to end. We're going to get ready for Q&A, so they're going to have a mic coming around. So if you have a question, raise your hand. And while we get to the first person...
Don't forget to tell them what Alfred said about the question.
So please, we're going to do a brief introduction, your name. Yeah, just a question. So just your name, and you can ask a question. No prologue, right? We don't need the introduction to the book, all right? But just a question, all right? All right, thank you.
He looked like he done wrote a book.
Is it on? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Is it okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Bobby Kendall. I work at ADP. I feel safe to ask this question. I have some mental health issues, and I've learned that it's because I have some deep tension between my career and my faith. Mm-hmm. I go into board meetings, and sometimes they don't reconcile well. So any advice on how do I grow my business, but maintain the faith that I have?
You know, that was a big issue for me because everybody know I'm faith-based. I love the Lord. Hallelujah, Jesus. I love it. But, you know, coming up in the faith, coming up in the church, there's a disconnect, like we talked about, from church and mental health space. You know, what I was told is your faith is not strong enough. You need to increase your faith. You need to pray harder, pray harder. I did. I went to the altar and I said, thank you, Jesus, at least 30,000 times. But when I got home, I was still depressed. I realized you need some professional help. Because I realized that if I had a problem with my diabetes or heart problems, I would seek professional help. Somebody that the Lord has granted favor and wisdom to help me. And that's what I had to start telling people. I have a therapist and I have a pastor. So my pastor is going to pray and you're going to teach me how to make this thing happen in real life, how we get this thing done.
I think that, you know, a lot of times we try, listen, everybody here, I'm assuming, entrepreneurship or has goals to be an entrepreneur. And one of the things that we struggle with is that we believe to be an entrepreneur, we have to sacrifice everything in our life, including relationships, including our health. And that's not true. We have to learn as black men to be more efficient rather than to sacrifice all the priorities in our life. Because I always say for you, in particular, redefining what success looks like for you. Because a lot of times, the world told us that you have to make X amount of money, whatever that number is, to be successful. I don't care about relationships. I don't care about your health. I don't care about nothing else. I don't care about yourself mentally. Right. That does not matter. If you're not making this amount of money, you're not a man, you're not successful, you're just a piece of shit. And that is not true, my brother. You know, the meaning of life and the meaning of success, it varies from person to person, but I want you to really redefine what that looks like for you, because what the world thinks and what you think, usually they're not aligned. They're not aligned with each other, and that needs to be something where I always say, block out the extra noise. People are going to talk shit. People are going to talk shit. Sometimes they're going to talk shit in a negative way. Sometimes they mean well, but they don't know how to help others. I always say there's a lot of times you find family members who have a toxic trait that they are not aware of, but they try to help others. Sometimes it's moms, sometimes your dad, sometimes it's siblings. And that's why when going back to boundaries, when you see that, you got to be able to say, you know what, moms, I love you, but no. Or, bro, I love you, my bro, No. Saying those things go a long way when it comes to saving yourself and saving your family. Because at the end of the day, if you can't be the best version of yourself, you're not good to nobody and not good to any business that you're working for.
All right.
And tactically, to add for you, tactically, you have to understand that your faith is separate and not of the same of what you do.
Yep.
If you're in the business of making money and if you're in the business of growing, it's learning how to differentiate between this is what I do from business, but it doesn't impact my belief. For an example, when we were in grad school and we began talking about same-sex marriages, the first thing they asked, how many individuals were believers? How many of us believe in same-sex marriages and all of those different things? When I go into a session, I never forget working with a same-sex couple, 2 women. They were previously married and they were now in a relationship. My faith had nothing to do with the session. They were trying to get understanding and clarity on how to be in a relationship with each other based off of their backgrounds. And I think too many times what happens with believers is they don't know how, you don't have to separate the two, but understand how do I compartmentalize that this is not that. Because if you're truly going to be successful, understanding that God is God, your belief is your belief. And then here you have a job to do. Because if you start taking that into the boardroom and start, like I tell people when they come into therapy, they, you know, especially believers, listen, Shantai, all that, people gonna have you up out of here. Real talk. But, and we think, well, I gotta take the Holy Ghost. That's not saying that you, if the Spirit is in you, it lives within you. But understanding that you're building a business. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to bleed into your life.
No.
Thank you for that. Next question.
All right, Edmund Lee, principal of Paradigm Club. And so we talk about people leaving legacies, and sometimes those legacies are legacies of empowerment, and sometimes there's legacy of abuse or other things of that nature. Can you speak about, to these brothers, about the instances where, and I'm speaking from being a fraternity brother, where some brother that you know is doing something or has done something that is probably a product of mental health, but our community typically ostracizes that brother. I have a brother that has abused women, close line brother. And I had to be there for him. He's getting mental help now, he's becoming better, but I know what happened to him as a child and why he was that way. But most people don't fool with him. Most people will leave. So how can you teach brothers of how to stand for somebody when they might be doing something? I have 5 sisters, I hated it. But how do you stand for somebody or someone when it's not you, but you know somebody else needs that help?
I think when you're standing with someone, is also understanding that I can stand with the person and dislike what the individual did based off of their traumatic experience that exacerbated behaviors that they carried out. And what we do, and we're in a society where I look from a different lens, and kind of like the lens that you said, because if the underlying issue is that this individual is abusive because they were abused, you have a better understanding that it's not just they are a bad person, but they are carrying out what was done to them. And I think it's important that when we are standing with people is to understand, how do I stand? And sometimes it's not called for you to stand in the front line. Sometimes, and understanding, because sometimes the assimilation of that can bring on, you know, stuff that you don't want to carry. So sometimes I say that it's important for us to know, where do we stand? And you're standing with this brother in silence. Not every stance has to be a public declaration, but understanding, listen, brother, I'm going to support you behind the scenes. I'm going to check on you, make sure that you're going to therapy. I ain't got to make a post that I'm standing with my dog, and, you know, as he, like, so it's understand, where do you stand?
That's exactly what we did as a line.
And at the end of the day, there's consequences when you don't say something too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look across the world, you ever saw, they're talking about seeing me with a dark hood in school, right? You get bullied all the time, and next thing you know, you shoot up to school. Or you got someone who's drinking, DUI, now they go into a car crash and kill somebody. So I say all that to say that when you see someone who's struggling with something, you got to say something. At the end of the day, people are going to make their own choices, but I'd rather you say something and save a life than say nothing and cause a life.
So we have time for 2 more questions. Somebody has the microphone already?
Good afternoon, everybody. And my name is Steven Vassar. I'm a systems engineer. I came from the DC area. First, I just want to thank all of you for taking the time to really speak on such an important matter. I'm the second person in my family to have gone, through their soulful journey with mental health. And I look back, I'm the only person in my family that's in a new white collar career. My question for y'all is, I have these conversations with my family members when I can, but I know that it's hard for them. How can I, from the place that I sit, create opportunities for my family members, for my brothers and my cousins who are struggling in their day-to-day with their mental health and their daily tasks when they don't have that non-traditional workflow. They work night shifts, they're driving trucks, and they don't have that bandwidth or that time other than the few conversations that I have with them. What are some good first steps that I can help bring to their lives to help them take the steps that they want to take themselves?
Make the call.
Yeah.
The first, and it's not overnight that this stuff happens. It's one call at a time, one listen at a time. Creating, like we say, this safe space. And when we say create a safe space, it's a space where you can be open and vulnerable. If you need that cry out. And like I say, it's not going to be something that happens right now. It's little by little. Just, phone call at a time. Yeah. But the first thing you can do is make the call and reach out. Because that's the problem, is we don't reach out. We know a brother's struggling. 9 times out of 10, you could see the change in somebody. My family seen the change in me. And they asked me, you okay? Yeah, I'm good. Let's get the next scene shot. Yeah, I'm good. But until somebody said, no, you're not. You're not good. You got to fix this. Make the call.
Final question here. Alan McAllister, I'm with the Travelers. Post-COVID has intensified isolation for myself. I consider myself an extrovert. Have no problem talking. I'm finding it difficult to connect as I used to because there's so much comfort in isolation. Any ideas you have as to how you address that or what you can do?
I think you're doing that now.
Yeah.
How do you feel being here today? And while you're here, I think you should really tap into what you're feeling connecting with other brothers. I think I saw you at the bar. I think you're from Dallas, right? Yeah. And I think one of the things. I think one of the things is that I've been in Dallas 4 years, and what I've really discovered is finding pockets of connection through other brothers, and then too, brothers that have nothing to do with what I do. Not all of my boys are ex-pro athletes. I'm friends with guys that are in stuff that I'm like, man, how'd you get involved in that? And so I think just remaining open, because COVID did a number on all of us. And the isolation wasn't good for our brains. I mean, you even see that in studies shows having 24 hours of solitary confinement, it shrinks your brain. And so a lot of our brain doesn't want to extend beyond, because isolation has been a place of comfort. So I think, comfortable there. Yeah, so I think as you are here, just exercising, going up and talking to brothers and finding a way to get connected and stay connected.
So thank you for that. We're going to wrap up, but before we do, I want to ask each panelist just to let the people here know, one, how can they find you, where are you online, your social media, your website, but also a resource that they can use and take from here. And then after you all provide that and resources, whether it's a book, a website, a routine, we're going to go into a video from our sponsor. So we'll start with you, Dr. Jeff. We'll come all the way down, and then we'll go into the video.
My brothers, listen, I want you to follow me. Say this. I am strong.
I am strong.
I am powerful.
I am powerful.
And when I feel weak,
And when I feel weak,
it's okay.
it's okay.
Positive affirmations is something that I want you brothers to take here today and say it every day of your life. Because listen, your words are powerful, they mean a lot, and they can really speak into existence if you believe into it. So for you, like I said, I still want you to get help when you feel like you need the help, but those things get you through the day. We're not talking about tomorrow, we're not talking about next week. Sometimes you need certain things to get you through the day, and saying those words right there will get you, trust me, through a lot of shit that you go through in life. So never forget those words, and you can find me at askjeffrocker.com, and I'm Dr. Jeff Rocker, and it's a pleasure being here.
Thank you, brother.
Brothers, when I wrote Just Here, Bro, I wrote it right after George Floyd passing. And what I realized is journaling was how I was able to become expressive, open, and sharing. I'm the only boy, so I grew up around a lot of women, and I didn't say much. My mom had 12 sisters, and you wouldn't forget about it. You wouldn't get nothing in. And so I lived as a boy who was quiet. I was loud on the field, but quiet off the field. And sometimes coaches couldn't understand, like, man, it's like you turn on a switch on the field, and after that, didn't have anything to say. And a lot of my silence had to do with the pain of abandonment and rejection from my father. I said this in the book, the man who finds his voice finds his way. A lot of what we can't express, brothers, is because we don't have the language. Women have the language. A lot of what we can't articulate is because we don't have the vocabulary. If you're going to learn a new language, you have to understand the vocabulary in order to be able to learn the language. And I found that in journaling. And journaling is where I found my voice. And so I encourage you, brothers, the book Just Here, Bro is on Amazon. It's a journal. When I tell you, it has been a game changer for men all over the country. Tomorrow, I wrap up 3 years I've been on tour, our 35th city in New Jersey. And I'm shutting the tour down this year because I want to rest. Because I poured out. Thousands of men shared my story in many different ways. But I want to say that, man, being able to write down what you can't say is so liberating. Yeah. I spent last week, and I'm going to be very transparent, last week in San Diego seeing my therapist. I was on stage at Bishop Jake's conference, and I said something to the men that re-triggered something in me. The men were standing up, and I was telling the men to say what they were angry about. 2,000 men, probably about 1,000 of them just stood up, and I said, you gotta say it, brothers. And I gave them an example of what happened to me in therapy. The therapist said, why are you angry? I said, because my father left, married another woman, and became the best father to her 3 kids. I yelled that out, and the little boy in me stood up and said, we are not good. I got on a plane, flew to San Diego for 8 days, and I had to sit on my therapist's couch. As David was saying, watching men piece their lives together while I got to go home and find the words to say to the little boy inside of me. My therapist said, the man has forgiven your father, but the little boy still has something to say. And what I want you to understand is no matter what the man achieves, if that little boy don't heal, he's always going to find a way to say something to remind you. Because the man will make the money, but the little boy will make the decisions.
Wow. Wow.
So you can find me on Instagram, King J. Barnett.
Wow. I don't know what to say now. I encourage you, brothers, get some help. It's okay that it's not okay. It's okay. Can I say something that some of us probably haven't heard a man tell you in a long time? I love you. Simply, I love you. I love you too, man. I love you, man.
I love you, brother. Love
And I
you,
don't
man.
feel I don't feel tingly when I say that.
No.
I hope not.
You would crush me anyway.
I don't know his wife gonna like that.
But I love you and I encourage you. Seek help. It's okay. It's okay. When you talk about the little boy, and a lot of us, it's not us, it's the trauma that we lived through, that we're dealing with. So I encourage you, find that place, find that safe place, and it's okay to be vulnerable. Now you can't be vulnerable to everybody because some people will take advantage of that. Find that place that's good for you, and it's okay. You can find me at davidandtamala.com. I have a beautiful wife. Ooh, I love her. She helped me get through a lot of this. In prayer, when the enemy comes in like a flood, our God will lift up a standard against him. I believe that our God is lifting up a standard. God bless.
All right, we're gonna roll.
So I am somebody that has healed, but therapy did not work for me. And I had a very explicit question because I know black folks don't deal with this healing. But what did work for me was a psilocybin trip. And I lost a child. My child was lost stillborn. And it was because of actions that were taken by the hospital. For years, I blamed myself because I didn't do enough in that moment. It took a while for me to realize that I wasn't healed. I had a psilocybin trip after doing years of research on it. And I was asked a question in this psilocybin trip that I'll only share with maybe a handful of people, but I'll share it with this crowd. I'll share it with this crowd. I have a daughter now that was born through surrogacy, so when I lost my son, my wife also lost her ability to have children. But we were able to have a surrogate child, or we were able to have a child through a surrogate that's our biological child. In this psilocybin trip, I was asked a question I would never ask myself, and the question was, would you sacrifice your son in every timeline to save your daughter in this one? I've never cried in the way that I cried after that.
It's okay.
No, it's good. I don't feel any way about being vulnerable in this room. But I was healed as a result. Never have touched psilocybin again. Never have even revisited that. But the healing that came from it was in one session. Can you speak to the existence of homeopathic measures and alternative medication in mental health healing? And I know you got to go. But I just wanted to ask that. So if you can't, it is what it is.
You got my eyes sweating.
So I think I'll speak to this a bit just because it's a space that I live in as a pharmacist. And you're going to start seeing a shift in how medicine is practiced in this country. You see it with medical cannabis and people utilizing that intentionally for certain things, whether it's anxiety, things of that nature, but that comes with intention and guided use. Even what you're speaking to, there's certain places where people are doing research, but it's guided, right? There's a way to do that with a professional. The research is still being done, but at the same time, we all come from, culturally, we are people that have always used plants as medicine in some form or fashion, and you can see that, right? So I encourage people to do their research, speak to their medical provider about like those things. 'Cause it's not something that any of us can speak to in the practices that we have to give like a recommendation.
You see, I be quiet because he ain't suing me.
Right, exactly. So we're gonna cut to the video. But I just want to say, brother, thank you for your vulnerability.
Yes,
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you.